What's the crack? Welcome back to the Irish Voice podcast, end of season review. Here to talk about all things Manchester United, hot topics being Michael Carrick's ascension to the new throne. And we will also talk about Manchester United's transfer strategy going in the market. Now we made our first signing. And then we'll kind of cover the World Cup, I think, because that's where the direction is going to go next. If we're podcasting over the summer, it's going to be very World Cup focused. So first off, reactions. How do you feel? End of season?
Thank you.
I was actually, believe it or not, I don't know if you guys are doing the same, was flicking back through the videos from the start this point last season, the start of the season, to see what our predictions were and how we were feeling. And I think we were all, before the season started, we were all buzzing with that, like, Amram hiding, not letting anybody in to see the tactics, and with a different manager. The press were all mystery of what we were going to do, and we got the one performance against Arsenal, probably one of the better Amram performances. But I think we sat here, from what I could find, predicting a hopeful, I know you were anyway, a hopeful Europa League place if we were lucky. What's kind of your
I lost 40 quid to my mother and wife.
Yeah, and I think myself and Jacqueline had a bit more hopium we had.
I think I didn't do it. I lost 40 quid. I had to pay Heidi £20 because Heidi just turned around and was like, "You're such a doom and gloom merchant. United are going to finish third," and I was like, "No chance. I'll bet you £20."
Yeah.
Feel free to bet again this season, Rory. Might be a sign.
But I'll take that bet.
But no, buzzing with third base. Sorry, Rory.
Do you think they'll replicate it here?
Do you think what? Sorry.
Do you think they'll replicate it? Do you think that Michael Carrick will be able to pull off the same result this season?
I think that's the big question. I think it's because I think you can flip it out. Devil's advocate either way. So I think because we didn't have Europe and the size of our squad, it helped us to an extent. But then whenever we're to flip that over during those, I think we spoke about it in previous podcasts. The point was, when some games where we're lethargic or not playing well, or it's because you have only one game a week or one game in 10 days. Or do you know what I'm trying to get on here? So I think, like we've said, like I always say, like, footballers want to be playing as many games as possible. Like, I'm sure it's frustrating for them as well, waiting over a week to play a game of football when it's something you love doing and your passion and your obviously your job as well. But you want to be out there competing for trophies and albeit looking ahead to the summer, we should be better fixed, the squad, better squad, more additions to thankfully be back in the Champions League. And I think we've got more than we could have asked for, getting third place. It would have took fourth or fifth, just getting qualifying for the Champions League. But to finish third is, for Michael Carrick, from Christmas time till the end of the season, it's a good achievement. You can only beat who's in front. We always say you can only beat who's in front of you. And in a few games we didn't play well. No matter how many games or competitions we were in, like you've said rightly, Rory, at one stage, I think Carrick's getting the most out of that squad as he can. And, it has limitations, don't get me wrong, but, when Amram was in the job, it was obvious to see playing Bruno in that midfield, playing Dado a left back, play our players we have, our best players in their proper positions, and we will get results. So, optimistic as going forward into this new season, but I hope we can replicate at least top four and push for a cup is my hope.
Yeah. And I had this discussion with somebody at work, right? And I know it's a mad notion and it's not going to happen, but I said, this is one for you, right? So you go back to a generation that didn't play the volume of games that the players play now, okay? And I was saying Michael Carrick should maybe play his strongest team in every Premier League game, because that has stood by him since he came in. United are top of the league based on Carrick's results in what he got from the current squad that he has. And the cup competitions is where he should rotate, including the Champions League. And if he goes out of the Champions League, which he probably won't in the revitalised format, then so be it. But if he finishes again in a Champions League spot, then I think that's where he proves that there's progress, because he can turn around and say, right, well, on the sum of my work, we are one of the top 4 teams in England.
Yeah. I would agree with that.
So I was talking to you, Mum.
She froze.
Mum? Did you freeze?
Yeah, I'm here. I'm falling asleep.
I was talking to you.
Oh, sorry. Right. Yeah. There were a lot of games played back in my day as well. You have to realise that, United went, especially that. A great example is the treble, the 99 treble. And Ferguson, although he did rotate, he did keep the core players together for most of those games. Now, I agree with you, the like of the League Cup and I don't know what to call that now, and even the FA Cup, you would blood the young players. But for the core, like I'm hoping now, I know that Ederson's done, and there's talk of Fernandez, and there's talk of a lot, to be quite honest. But I'm hoping that they get quality players in. I'm hoping for 7 players in this transfer window. That's what I'm hoping for. And I'm hoping for a deep quality squad. That we're not relying on the like of Shea Lacey and that lad Fletcher and whoever else, that they can be brought in gradually, and that we're not relying on them in any match.
Yeah, but
I'm just hoping for a squad that can compete for everything.
Yeah, I agree with you, but he didn't rely on those, did he? Because he didn't play them. I didn't see Shea Lacey
I know,
get a
but
minute.
we sort of
on
like.
Carrick.
But that's what I'm saying. He wasn't in that many. He wasn't in any competition, Rory, but the Premier League.
Yeah.
Now he's going to have to rethink that next season.
Yeah, he will.
Yeah.
I mean, he has had a very fortuitous entry into Manchester United Football Club, and I think it is a valid point. It's not like that he just wasn't playing Europe. He had no cup competitions. He was afforded the luxury to wait around until the Premier League came, and in the few games that Kieran mentioned where we were lethargic, he simply changed it and was like, right, look, we're getting hiding here in the press for being, slow starters. Let's up it. We've no reason not to be. And it's easy because the lads are probably sitting thinking, right, well, we can, because I'm not tired. So yes, I will go from the first minute. But that changes and shifts when you've just played a Carabao Cup game on a Tuesday night, the Premier League on a Saturday, the Champions League on a Tuesday, Wednesday, and then you're into playing again on Sunday, and you're like, right, now I'm feeling it. You want me to start from...
Yeah.
With the word go, it's going to be tough for me because I've played 4 games on the trot. So it is an interesting dynamic to look at, and it's a very relevant point of those sceptical of Michael Carrick. I feel that next season will be very different for him. But I think, Kieran, what is interesting about the Michael Carrick appointment is there was no one else really considered. There was no rumours. If you look at Liverpool going for Areola and Marco Silva going off to Benfica and these Premier League proven managers we discussed, it was Carrick through and through. Do you think that maybe is a sign that Jason Wilcox wants this British ensemble to start?
I think so. I think to a big extent, Carrick's body of work, it was so hard not to give him a chance. I think he coached his way to get a chance. Credit to him. If that's the term, he coached his way to a chance. And you look at yes, no cup competitions, but we don't. My point again, as I made at the start there, I don't think we have a competitive deep squad to be competitive in cup games, league games, and Champions League. So, one or two off the bench that you amount to come on onto the bench, or a couple of defenders. But other than that, you Lacey's and Fletcher's, and I agree with I think what Jack was trying to say there. Like next season, you want to see a number of quality signings. So when we're playing Champions League, playing the Premier League, you have your first 11. you can rotate it on one or two positions. You look to the bench and you have more than a Mounters are actually sitting on the bench waiting to come on and change the game. Is what I think the point was. And I hope Carrick does well, and it'll be, he's, like you said, he's been from he started, he's been top of the league in terms of form and points. It's not, you can't say it's fluke or he's done well. I think he's merited getting, at least, we were all discussing how long of a contract he should get. I think a year would be a bit of a, with no faith in you, that kind of way. I think 2 years is a solid, right, here's your chance. What can you do? Can you replicate the league position? Come and do well in a cup this time? Getting, even not playing particularly well, getting results. And he's beaten Liverpool back to back, beat the Premier League champions, beat the world champions. All these teams who are going to blow United out of the water. We all thought, and finish above us this season. Carrick said otherwise. So I think there was no, in terms of Wilcox and Brad and the rest, you could speak to other managers, but could you really deny Carrick a chance from what his body of work and what he's done? I don't think so, in my opinion. And like I said, it's not. It's
No,
yeah, and it's all right. It's like an Alonso, or like we discussed company at. Been there, done it, been in the changing rooms, modern day squads that have won the Champions League, won Premier Leagues, know what it takes, know the attitude, and Carrick, especially at Man United under Fergie. It can work, and we have tried a variation of different managers. The old dog, the Masters, the new up and coming Amorim style and 3-4-3 at the back and all this. We've tried everything. Something has to click somewhere. So I hope Carrick does well. I think, he's deserved it. He's earned his chance, is what I think.
Yeah, I think you made a really interesting point there. So we have tried the tacticians and they don't work at all. That squad doesn't respond to it. They're just like, and Bruno Fernandes said this brilliantly in an interview, it's very frustrating to be one of the longer serving players, to constantly see a new face come in the dugout with new plans and new players be brought in to suit these new plans, and then they don't work and they move on, and then the new players have to go out in consequence, and you make friends with people and make relationships for players that all of a sudden are surplus to requirements. And he would like to see Manchester United have consistency moving forwards. And I think when you look at, and I did look at Southampton, right, when Jason Wilcox was there, they played 4-2-3-1, and it was about a very basic but effective style of football where you get the ball wide and you work the ball in from those wide positions to try and score goals. And that's what I seen from Michael Carrick's Manchester United. They were wider, there was width, there was giving the ball out to the wings and hurting teams, but at the same time a very old school, and the old school worked in the Premier League this year, right? Long balls over the top to break the press, and long throw-ins were working, tactics, and set pieces were big. How many goals did United and Casemiro himself score from whip balls into the box and headers into the back of the net? He was a real sort of asset that Manchester United had in their locker, that you almost expected it, and then you could release Maguire to do the same thing. And I think it's not a bad thing that Carrick is more simplistic than the managers that came before him. I think the squad is responding to it. For me, right, big statement here, Carrick's defining win of the season was the last game against Brighton, when we'd nothing to play for and Brighton had to push against us for Europe and we hammered them. It could have been 5. They played with such a freedom and such a we're going on holidays kind of piece of football, but at the same time they killed Brighton. Brighton couldn't stop United from just cutting through them. Diallo and Burmo, there was just some big performances from big players in that. And it was brilliant to see Diallo and Burmo enjoy themselves at the end of the year, because they've had a tough, tricky year. So I think the future is bright. I also said this before, Kieran, I think this is, in a weird way, without us meaning to do it, the reset that Manchester United needed. You're about to see, and I think Rashford is about to go. I think Sancho is obviously definitely going to go. I think Casemiro going is huge. These are boys that we knew were going to leave, but it's still massive. It's £1 million a week in wages, right? Yeah. It is big personalities going out the door, but it gives room for new players to come in and own those positions. And I think to that, it's a nice segue into our first signing of the season, Ederson, who I don't think is particularly sexy, glamorous signing, but he's functional. I think he's an upgrade on Manuel Ugarte. But I'm interested to hear your thoughts on it. Like, for me, it's a bit like, okay.
Yeah.
You disagree. I know you disagree.
Well, Jacqueline?
Yeah.
Okay.
Now this is, can you see that? Yeah?
Yeah.
It's a stats thing, right? You might be able to see it very clearly. But it's between Fernandes, Tonali, Alex Scott, and the two midfielders that we have now, right?
Alex Scott isn't going away, by the way. Alex Scott is doing the rounds heavily, and it came out of nowhere.
But you look at the stats. You look at who's leading the stats. Do you know what I'm saying? No, people are saying, oh, he's not sexy and he's not this and he's not that and he's not Casemiro and yeah, he's a steady Eddie and blah, blah, blah. He's a hell of a good player. I am excited about Ederson coming to United.
The stats don't lie.
I know the eye test as well, Rory. I know that as well.
But also, he doesn't play in the Premier League. He is playing in the Inferior League.
Yeah. But he's blowing Tonali away. He's blowing Alex Scott away, and those stats alone.
Why did he not get picked for the World Cup squad?
I have no idea. Who plays in midfield? I know Casemiro is always a shoe, and he'll definitely play. Who else plays in that midfield?
Not too sure, actually. Couldn't you play as up
I would
front?
need football. Okay, the starting midfield for Brazil is Bruno Guimaraes and Casemiro.
There you go.
The backup midfield is where it gets a bit tricky. So Ancelotti's preference over Ederson is Fabinho. And Andre Santos from Chelsea.
Yeah, but as you said there, Rory, Ancelotti's preference. You look at who Thomas Tuchel has left out of the England squad.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, okay. We'll agree to disagree here, okay? I still think Ederson is a very bland signing. I think he has the potential to be a good signing, and he has a potential to be Manuel Ugarte.
Yeah, or Fred.
I think that he's a good squad player. Apparently he's when Fred is on his a day, whatever. That's Ederson. That's what he's comparison with. A very good Fred.
Okay.
So
yeah, I think he's a squad player, right? So a few things that I read today that we need to cover. Okay, huge transfers. Onana is coming back to United to fight for his place.
Apparently.
Read that, but I read Transport want him. Still, they want to keep him, so he's coming back to training pre-season, but I think they still want him back. So hopefully he goes back.
Yeah, once more the football gods poke us in the eye.
We don't want Lamans rubbing off on him, like, or yeah.
Onana. Imagine Onana in training telling you, "Look, this is how you should come for the ball."
Exactly. He may learn something off Lamans.
Season Lamans is out.
Yeah. Lamans here, Andre is how you catch
two
ball.
trains of thought. Andrew Onana would be an exceptional backup goalkeeper. Okay, regardless of our thoughts of when he started for Manchester United, it's probably one of the stronger number twos in the world if he's willing to eat that for his contract. Okay, Lamans starts. Onana is not displacing Lamans. But if Onana wants to stay and run his contract and be in the number two at Manchester United, I'm all for it. Do you know why? Because it means we don't have to go looking for a backup goalkeeper, so our focus can shift to other areas. So, fine. I also think we will not go for a striker. I'm convinced that Carrick is looking at wingers and that he feels that Cunha and Mbeumo can play up front. Cunha, Mbeumo and Sesko can all occupy the striker positions. So I think United's focus would be the midfield and then a couple of wingers. Now, I have not seen any rumours for wingers in a while. The last one was Morgan Rogers. So, Groucho, you can tell us what the word on the street is.
Right, here's a lad that came up today. Plays for Hoffenheim. He'll be at the World Cup with the Ivory Coast. 20-year-old. He's one of the fastest wingers. He plays left wing. He's one of the fastest leaders in the Bundesliga. And there's a few clubs looking at him. Now, that's the latest from the word on the street.
There seems to be a theme, doesn't there, of looking at younger potential players as opposed to the established superstars. And I think this is where Alex Scott and those rumours are lingering. It's like everyone thought, well, Kieran and I have talked at length. We thought and hoped and prayed it was going to be Elliot Anderson. But it looks like Alex Scott is seen as a more reasonably priced alternative that could potentially become as good a player in the future. I haven't seen enough of Alex Scott to cast judgment on this. Have you?
No. I haven't been paying attention to him, to be quite honest. But what I also what I also read today is that Man United are not leading towards a Marquee Signing this season, this transfer window. They want to build the squad with younger players. But what they're also looking at is an older striker. And the name that has come up is Jared Bowen.
Oh, yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. 100%.
Well, that's the name that's come up a couple of times now.
I read Morgan Rogers today. That's what I've read.
I read Morgan Rogers.
Norman Leg.
They're saying that Villa want 100 million for Morgan Rogers, but West Ham could be convinced because of the players and stuff they're going to have to use to build in the Championship that 40 to 45 million could pry Jared Bowen away as long as the club moves fast enough. Now, that's a £55 million saving on Morgan Rogers. Bowen on his day, right, is not as good as Morgan, but he is brilliant.
He's an exceptional player.
And he fights for everybody. He has such a brilliant way about him. You see him scoring goals and running his legs off up front. And then at the end of the season, I felt for him. The lad ran every blade of grass to try and keep them up, and it just wasn't enough.
He's what, 27,
he's
28?
29, isn't he?
He's 27, 28, I think.
I think he's closer to 29,
I thought he was older.
No.
Here, Paulo Dybala.
Sorry?
Roma.
Paulo Dybala, I seen today, is leaving on a free.
Really?
He'd be on big wages, would he not, Rory?
Isn't he a 10?
Don't know.
Yeah.
He started out as a striker and then he made the mistake of going to Juventus when he was in real form. And Juventus had signed two strikers, I think, at that stage. Cristiano Ronaldo and Mario Mandzukic. And he was told he was a 10. And all of his prowess as the next Sergio Aguero went down the drain because he was stuck playing as a 10 to facilitate the two out-and-out goal scorers. I have always thought the lad's a striker. He can do that round the corner finish that Aguero used to do, which is deadly. But he wrecked his career by making some stupid transfers at the time.
Yeah. One year gonna look
transfers.
Yeah. One year gonna love her. I don't know if you've seen it or not. Carly's very, very interested in coming to United. Premier League. Left back.
Hope it's Callum Oldham.
Left back.
Oh, Lewis Hall.
Yeah. All over the socials. It's apparently
he wants it bad. Apparently
he wants it. Yeah,
he's not in the England team.
Yeah. Seen a few.
Apparently he sees Newcastle performances this season as one of the reasons why he was in, because he was only brought in to cover Livramento at times, and he had to sit on the bench and watch. And now Livramento has earned a space in Thomas Tuchel's squad, and I read that he. And there's a bit of arrogance in this statement, but I don't mind it. He feels he's better than Livramento.
You don't mind a bit of arrogance?
Don't mind a bit of arrogance.
If
attitude.
You've got the talent to back it up, of course.
Look, do I think he's a better player at the moment than Livramento? Probably not, right? But from what I've seen, he's a hungrier player. The lad puts in some shift and throws himself into some tackles. He's just a feisty wee player. And I think United could benefit from that. Especially when you're losing the players we're losing.
Yeah. You've Lewis Hall and Luke Shaw, the left back, you know, you're covered. You have good depth, as we've spoke about as well.
I'll tell you what, I'd rather have Lewis Hall than Patrick Dorgu at left back. I'd rather have Dorgu further on up the pitch.
I love Dorgu further on. Yeah.
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 He is the most awkwardly brilliant winger I have seen. I thought he was really good at the end of the year. He looks like he's just learned how to play football, right? Or that he's played another sport for 5 years and someone's told him, here, go out onto that football pitch because you're quick. But somehow he takes people on, right? He's got better with the ball at his feet. His movement and his link-up play with his teammates has got better. And you're looking at him going, it shouldn't work, but it does. He's actually he's grown on me. He's started to become one of my favourite players to watch because you're like, I don't know what's going to happen here, but I'm going to enjoy it.
What's he going to do? You don't know what he's going to do.
Is he going to fall over the ball? Is he going to rainbow flick it? Is he going to kick the ball into touch? Nobody knows. Beautiful chaos.
Yeah. And like, even that, you know, I know we've Cunha and all there and they're looking at wingers, but if you have Dorgu coming off the bench or starting and rotating with Cunha, or if we sign another one, that's, you know, it's another thing we need. Chaos and like impact coming off.
And quality sitting on the bench.
Yeah, in the squad and coming off the bench and starting as well, so you can mix it up. You know, that's what we need, especially with all the games next season. You know?
Yeah.
So
there are teams where you can work the ball around and it will hurt them, and there are teams where you simply need to. Brentford are a good example of this. Just put the ball in the box and hurt them with it. And I think Dorgu, for me, is the only one of our current winger setup that I think is an out-and-out winger, in the sense that Patrick Dorgu doesn't pick the ball up and think, right, I'm going to run, shoot and score. Patrick Dorgu picks the ball up and is like, how can I get it in the box? And if the opportunity presents itself, he will have a go. But that's more where you see Dorgu's goals coming from this season have been in these scenarios where he wins the ball back or he fights for the ball and the rush of blood takes him and he brings the ball past. Was it City? Did he score that?
City goal, yeah. He just like went full steam ahead and he caught them off guard. Brilliant.
Yeah.
Yeah. But then he can produce the Arsenal goal.
Yeah. And you know what? He got a scrappy goal at the end of the season there. I can't remember who that was against. But I mean, he fought for the ball to get. He gets himself in the box and he's very good at putting the ball in the box. He's just different to Cunha and Bumo, who seem to pick the ball up and be like, right, how can I get to the box? Dorgu's like, right, how can I either cross or get in? What is going to work? And whatever is the easiest method, the path of least resistance, that's the path I'm going to take. So I like that in Dorgu because he's different.
Ballon Dorgu.
He let the Dorgu out. So I also seen that Diamande is not down the rounds, but this is where it all gets hypocritical. I read the same as you, Mum. There's no more key signings. It's functional signings and building the squad. So Diamande and Morgan Rogers are not names that you're going to link into that because they're 80, 90 million.
Yeah. I think they would push the boat out for somebody like an Elliot Anderson, but they're not going to spend X amount of money on players that are going to be overinflated in this market.
Yeah.
So that's just my impression. There's talk about West Ham are holding out for 80 million for Matheus Fernandes, and United have said absolutely not. No. Now Arsenal there's word in the papers, Arsenal are ready in a formal bid for him as well, but then apparently he's turned around and said, a bit like Ederson, I don't want any other club but Man United. So and the player if that's the player's mindset, then that's one tick up for the club that's buying him.
Yeah. It's flying about Twitter and all our acts as well that the contracts agreed on the player side for Fernandes.
Well, Simon Stone, the BBC, said he'd be very surprised if United don't sign him, that he doesn't go to United this transfer window. Somewhere
in the region of 55, I'm reading, I think will be enough. I think apparently
55 to 60. That's what they're hoping.
Yeah.
We're not going to get 80 for him.
No. But I think, I know we're the functional signings and all we're mentioning, but it may be true, but some of the things I've been reading are, we got a good price there for Ederson, and then we're going to go Fernandes, West Ham ready to try and get a lower price for a Premier League proven midfielder, but this isn't the Casemiro replacement. This isn't the marquee the Fernandes or Ederson isn't the marquee big midfield signing. That's still to come. Now, whether that's...
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying, Kieran. There's rumours that there won't be a big marquee signing.
Mm.
It could be those two midfielders and maybe promote Fletcher. Who knows? But then again, it's all paper talk, of course.
Yeah.
United should buy Adam Wharton. That's who I want. If you can't get Elliot Anderson, I want Adam Wharton. I think Adam Wharton was brilliant in that final. I know he's playing against a team that maybe people would turn out and say, it's not a massive, but he just showed all of his capabilities. His forward pass and his chance creation was exceptional. His shot that caused the goal was just, they gave him 5 yards and he thought, okay, right, challenge accepted. And just paced himself forward and pinged it from about 35 yards out, bounced to the goalkeeper. Goalkeeper had to palm it away and then went to goal. And I thought, that's what I want. That's what you're not going to get that from Ederson or Mateus Fernandes, and you won't get it from Carlos Baleba. So go and get someone that can do it. Yeah. Adam Wharton can do it. His shot and his ability to drive forward is much better than anyone else we're talking about right now. And if it's not going to be a marquee signing, I think you pick Wharton up for 50, 60 million, considering that Thomas Tuchel snubbed him.
There's been no buzz about Adam Wharton at all.
No, nothing. But it's still, it always comes to 6 or 7 signings. That's Ben Jacobs, Ornstein. That's the number they're going with, that they expect.
Yeah.
6 or 7
signings.
signings.
To be the magic number.
Yeah.
I can see it. I think it's a left back, a centre back, 3 midfielders, and 2 wingers.
And a winger.
One of which can play up front.
There's been no real talk about a centre back, though, has there? I haven't picked up on much. Have you, Kieran?
I've seen a flicker of the Sporting centre back, the Arujo. Is that how you say it?
Yeah, there was 2 of them linked. Ronald Arujo was one, and
that's all I've seen now in regards to centre backs. It's mainly just been like wingers or wing backs, whether it's going to be
midfielders. Yeah,
the left back. Midfielders is the only one really concrete, and then Lewis Hall at left back is, apparently
Waldemar
all part.
Anton.
Sorry,
who, Rory?
Waldemar Anton.
Who does he play for?
He is a German centre back who has been very good for Borussia Dortmund and has played his way into the German World Cup team. He's 29 years of age, and there's rumours that he is available for €40 million. Right. Big lump of a lad.
Like a Harry Maguire type? German Harry Maguire?
Quick. He's more like Jonathan Tah.
No, not Harry Maguire.
Yeah, he's a very physical defender. The one criticism of him is he's not very good with the ball at his feet. He's not a very ball-playing defender, but he's a very good tackler. He's just a really good defender, and he scores goals with his head, which is why he's going to the World Cup.
I think I'd say that was probably a big, like going like we mentioned, the long throw-ins and set pieces this year. I think a lot of the international managers picking squads, that's obviously come into some of their thinkings, like for the way it's gone this season with set pieces and being able to score with your head and corners and free kicks.
How Arsenal won the league?
110. I think one of the big things that I'm not seeing Manchester United forums, podcasts, people talking about is, everyone's talking about Ederson and Fernandes and who else? Sandro Tonali. These boys don't score goals. How are Manchester United replacing Casemiro's goals?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It has to be a more attack-minded midfielder. It has to be and not even a Wharton, because Wharton's done a profound goal scorer. But they need to find somebody who adds to that attack, or they're going to have to improve in the wing positions. Because for me, I've said this to you guys so many times. Tess Cunha is 10. He's heir apparent to Bruno Fernandes when Fernandes goes. He plays his best football through the middle. In my opinion, so does Brian Mbeumo. I think Mbeumo's better up top than he is in the right wing.
Yeah, but I think that, like, I know that they have the prefer their better positions, but the beauty about, I think, Bruno, like say Bruno and Mbeumo and Cunha, they can rotate around their positions. Like many times, it's fluidity. Like if watching a game, if you watched even the Brighton game, or in the last couple of games of the season where you had Brian and Mbeumo and Cunha and Bruno in the same quartet, part of that, you see Bruno go out to the right, and then you see Cunha come through the middle, or sometimes you'd see at each stage of different stages of the match, you would see either one of them pop up at the number 9 role, and then somebody would drop back into the 10 and be somebody out in the right or somebody else out in the left. So I think it's interchangeable, I think, which is saving grace. We'll say in terms of being a striker, that they all can play that forward role.
Yeah. So, sorry guys, in the last 15 minutes, the Manchester Evening News has released that apparently Matheus Fernandes has agreed terms with Manchester United.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
That's what he wants. He wants to go to United, but he is frustrated.
That's what I've read.
West Ham haggling over his transfer fee, and he does not want it to hamper his move to Manchester United.
Yeah,
is Matheus Fernandes going to the World Cup?
No.
I'm not angry at that, because if you see the wealth that Portugal have in midfield, oh my God.
Yeah, you're all right.
But look, I was going to make this point earlier. There's a funny shift happening in football where, and it was when you made the point against Arsenal, right? And this is where my head went to. I was sitting thinking, but he won't fit at Arsenal. Because if you look at the best teams in the world now, right? I'm looking at the kind of Arsenal connections, and I'm looking at PSG are brilliant at this, right? You've got the French forward line with Kvaratskhelia fitted in. You've got the Portuguese midfield with the hand-picked Fabian Ruiz fitted in. They are partnerships. There's chemistry, there's thought has gone into what they are building. Vitinha and João Neves are going in as the Champions League, double Champions League champions in the Portugal World Cup midfield. Do you know that's consistency. You're talking about Champions League winners that are going to play all summer together, try and win the World Cup together, go on their holidays together, and then come back and try and win the Champions League again together. I think that's amazing. So for me, for Matheus Fernandes, what would suit him is to come into Manchester United, who have a wealth of Portuguese-speaking talent. Diogo Dalot, Bruno Fernandes, Ederson, who's just come in, Matheus Cunha, all speak Portuguese, already made amigos, friends.
Amigos.
And that seems to be more of a thought process now in football, instead of just this, like, the Ed Woodward scattergun where, oh God, we can't get Elliot Anderson, so we better spend 150 million behind Adam Warden. Adam Warden's valued at 50 million. No, 150. They'll not take the 50. So 150 is below the whole budget. And I think that's brilliant. I think that's really progressive from United.
Yeah, it's very good point as well. And in years gone by, signing like you mentioned, Woodward, there were the superstars and the short selling signs that maybe didn't butt heads with other staff or other players. But when you mention Ederson, Brazilian, Cunha, Brazilian, Dalot, Portugal, all the same speaking, kind of building them. Like Dalot even has I've seen an MUTV recently, like a bromance with Sesko. Like they're already gelling and get along as a team, which is it's good to see as well. Because you can get that sense. I think this season that I've noticed, like fighting for each other and all like playing as a team. And not even that long ago, maybe 2 years ago, 3 years ago, that was one of our biggest criticisms, that they all look like individuals. When you had the Rashfords and the Garnachos and all in the team, it looked like just Bruno run like a headless chicken, shouting at everybody to listen to me or to work together. But nah, I'll do my own thing, lad. That kind of way. But this, it feels different. It feels more like a team. And as one of the things, most important things we mentioned before it's not a toxic place to be in. It feels like a good place to come every day to train, do what you love, play football. And I think that even shows, even when you're having a bad game, getting results, the togetherness. You can still get the results if you play as a team and you stick to your principles and fight for each other. If you're having somebody's having an off day or it's not going the way you want it to go. I think that speaks volumes. Yeah. And the coaching of Carrick too, I think, he's able to bring that together more from with his background as well.
Yeah, Dallo seems like a good lad, and people will lose their shit to turn around and go, you can't keep a player that's a good lad. And to that I would say, why do you think Thomas Tuchel's taking Jordan Henderson to do the World Cup? Champions League Thomas Tuchel sees the value in an older, more settled player that gets on with everybody and shows good attitude and personality, and maybe brings a couple of players and teammates together because he played at Liverpool and he doesn't have that older in the past. So I seen the video of Dallo with Sesko and I thought, well, there's what we don't see. Diogo Dallo behind the scenes is a very inclusive and very friendly teammate. And I know it sounds windy and stuff, but you need that. But look, I know we've gone on over our time here, guys, so I'm going to leave us with one last thing, right? Before we go into World Cup crazy season, right? Mum, who wins the World Cup?
Oh, I'm going for Portugal.
Kieran, who wins the World Cup?
That's still my pick. Portugal or Brazil?
Okay. The Germans are going to be the World Cup champions. So we'll end on that.
No, they're not.
You don't think so?
No.
They could.
Okay.
They could. Even Spain could be a shout.
I bet you £1 they won't be.
The Germans won't be champions?
Yeah.
Who beats them?
In the final? To get to the final?
I think they meet Portugal in the quarters.
Yeah. No, Portugal will beat them in the quarters.
Do you think so?
Yeah.
I
It's
don't
not very
know.
often I bet. So there you go.
I think Portugal are a really attractive team and definitely one of the favourites going in, right? But I think the Germans, if you look at their current form and the way they're playing and the stars in the German team, I think Germany are so
squad.
underrated. They have some mega stars going in there. And it's reminiscent of back when we watched the Brazil World Cup and Brazil were set to be the favourites until they came against the German efficiency machine and they hammered them relentlessly, just with physicality, and they took their tiki-taka style and were like, okay, you can play that, but we're going to score every time we get the ball. And the young fella that plays up front for Bayern Munich, I always forget his name, Lars something. Do you know who I'm on about?
Oh, yeah.
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 Unreal. I think he will be one of the breakout stars of the World Cup. He only doesn't play as often for Munich because he has to go up against Harry Kane. But you can see what they're doing. Harry Kane is like a father figure to this lad to bring him through, where he's a baller. So on that, we will be back in a week's time to ramp up for the World Cup. Thank you so much for listening to us. It has been a really enjoyable season. It's been our second season.
Yeah.
Mad.
It is mad.
Yeah. So have a good one. Check us out in the socials and we'll see you soon.
All right, everybody. Bye.